And you're live.
We live?
Yep.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Mostly Peaceful Latinas. I'm your host, Bella.
And I'm Linda.
And before we get started, we're going to take a couple of minutes, give people an opportunity to come into the chat room. But please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe this video. If you like and you comment in our chat, you help get us on the algorithm, which is what we want so that more people can find our content. We have a really exciting show today.
We have a
And by exciting, I mean we got a lot of shit to talk today. We got Ye, we got Nick Fuentes, we've got Balenciaga, we've got the new codification of marriage. We are not sponsored by Doritos.
Sorry.
We're not sponsored by Doritos.
But give us a few minutes. Let people come into the room. Just go in the chat.
Guys, let us know. Join the chat. Let us know where you're at. How are you feeling with the Balenciaga stuff? How are you feeling with the Ye and Nick Fuentes visit to Mar-A-Lago?
Oh, and hold on. I'm going to actually go on my Instagram really quickly and announce that we are live. People, they have a short attention span, so you got to constantly remind them of things. So, hey guys, we are live on YouTube. Come join us. It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to talk about everything that's going on in the clown world. So I'm going to link it right here. Come join us.
Hey, Marina, thank you so much for the contribution. You can catch us later if you can't watch live.
Yes,
don't forget, guys, your super chats are awesome. We really appreciate them. We are 100% self-funded, no Illuminati, no lizard people, which is so important to state nowadays.
So hold on. I saw hi Linda and Bella sending love from the Netherlands. Hi Sharday. I never know how to say your name and I don't want to be rude. You're the best. By the way, every single time I drink out of the cup and the mug that you send me, I remember you. So I hope that
is this the
you remember me. Huh?
Which cup? Which one is this?
This is the one that says Professor Linda.
Linda gets all the cool stuff from all of her followers.
All of it. They know me so well. They know me really, really well.
I had someone send me stuff one time.
Yeah. We gotta put damn, somebody also sent this to the PO box. I gotta go to the PO box actually. Somebody sent us some stuff and I forgot about that. Hi guys, welcome. Somebody asked us about Thanksgiving. How was Thanksgiving? It was really chill, really nice. I was just with my family. I ate a lot. I slept over at my mom's house both
Whenever Linda goes over to her mom's house, like all she does is sleep.
Literally, like I sleep,
up and it's like, my dog, are you okay? It's
and a lot of times, what happens is I look at my phone and I'm like, and I read text messages, and then I go back to sleep, so I never answer those text messages or get back to people. So yeah, I love spending time with my family. I'm actually going to Colombia this Sunday, to spend the holidays with my family. So. Take a break.
Guys, we will not be here next week. Linda will be out on vacation. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, which is why we had to film today, because she's going on vacation tomorrow and I'm leaving on Sunday. So we're not going to be back on the show probably till like the last week of. We'll probably do one more show before the end of the year, because next week and the following week I won't be in the States, and then that's it. We only got like 4 weeks left of the year. So we'll probably do like a New Year's recap, right? We could probably do like an end of the year recap show. And of course, thank you so much for the support. This is the first year that we started YouTube. Hopefully next year we'll be able to go 2 or 3 times a week, being that we can obviously get more support and be able to pay for the studio and do everything else. Also, shout out to Ale Milian. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Ale, what did you write? What did you write that your message was restricted, that YouTube restricted your message? Thank you for the contribution, Ale, of your $4.99 and your restricted words that were probably top notch, and that must be why it was that they were
So
banned.
if you have to jump out of the live, by the way, Bella, I emailed you. I don't know if you saw. If you have to jump out of the live, don't worry about it, because we pre-record everything and you'll be able to watch it later. But let's just start with what is going on, the big elephant in the room, which is Trump is done. Trump is done. I posted.
Yeah, right, whatever.
I posted a Trump is done list on my Instagram story. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go watch it later, which is all of the times that we have been told Trump is done after Russian collusion, after Omarosa was supposed to bring out tapes of the N-word, after Stormy Daniels, whatever happened with them and some payment, after Roger Stone's testimony. It's been 5 years. 6 years of Trump is done, and Trump is still kicking and trolling people and just being the best ever. And the biggest controversy right now, we're going to tell you all the details, everything that we know, things that people are not talking about online, is that Trump had dinner with Kanye West, Nick Fuentes, and Milo, and about 2 other people who are relevant to this conversation, because the biggest elephant in the room is actually Nick Fuentes, who allegedly, according to the mainstream media, is a white supremacist, Holocaust denier, anti-vaxxer, pro-Putin. I'm naming everything Linda, that I saw today.
So Linda and I, when we first started talking about starting the podcast, we made like our fantasy list of like guests that we wanted to have on the show. And it was like Nayib Bukele, Donald Trump, Kanye West, and Nick Fuentes. But we wanted to invite Nick Fuentes only to be able to put a little
title,
the little title at the bottom of him of alleged white supremacist.
Yes, that was really like, we wanted to literally open up the conversation and ask him, are you a white supremacist? And tell us why. Which, by the way, Fuentes is a last name. I found out that he's actually Mexican, or not wasn't born in Mexico, but his family is from Mexico. And then he's
Latinos go hard.
Prove
me wrong. Latinos go harder than anyone else when it comes to like patriotism and nationalism.
And then he says that the only reason why he's so fair skinned is because 3 of his grandparents are actually white looking, and his one of his grandpa is not one of them. He's actually brown. Like, I have a brown grandfather. So anyways, I'm gonna take you guys through the timeline of events. I'm going to tell you why.
You guys need to understand something. Linda has been
stressed.
So consumed.
I've been stressed
by this Nick Fuentes story developing, because you saw the entire setup happen. She's really going to create a timeline, but you guys need to understand how schizophrenic Linda has been when it's very stressed timing this together.
I've been very stressed. I was mad at Kanye. I cursed him out on Truth Social. I told him I was done with him. I was not a fan anymore.
Linda broke up with Kanye.
I broke up with Kanye. He doesn't know that. He probably will maybe know that. And now I'm not mad at Kanye anymore, because I did enough research to realize that even if he did set up Trump, even if this was an ill-intentioned situation in behalf of Nick or Milo or Kanye or all 3 of them, it's actually gonna work for his advantage, and I'll tell you why. So this is a timeline.
Shout out to Amado83, who says that we've become one of his favorite podcasts. Aww. Thank you so much for the big donation to our channel. We really appreciate it, so we can make more content for you.
Absolutely. Nadia says that Nick Fuentes has gone on the I'm Doing Great podcast. Yeah, I saw that. I just didn't watch the episode. It has extensively debunked the whole white supremacist narrative. Yeah, he's not a white supremacist. If anything, he would be a white nationalist. But I'm a brown nationalist, and many of you are brown nationalists.
Just a nationalist.
And
I don't think
they
that
could
the
be
race has anything to do with
black
it.
nationalists. It just means that it's the color of your skin, and then you support your nation. Right, that's how I see it.
Well, no, I think that when you add the race in front of it, it's that you believe that there should be like a supremacy of that particular race.
Oh, okay.
But but he does identify as a nationalist, which I do too, which is that I believe that America should be above every other country. And why wouldn't I think that? I'm an American.
Right. So here's the timeline of events of how our boy Trump, big daddy. A lot of people don't like the word daddy, but I think it's funny. This is how our boy Trump got caught up with these terrible white supremacists, anti-Semites, racists. A white boy, a 24-year-old white boy, is now going to manage a black rapper's potential 2024 campaign, and he's a white supremacist. I'm not sure why he would want to help a black man ascend to such a high level of power, but then again, I'm not a white supremacist. I would not know that. And so we see Kanye West with Milo. TMZ breaks out a story, and he's hanging out with Milo. and we're like, what the hell is going on? And then if you don't know who Milo is a very controversial, far right, all right, whatever you want to call it. It used to be a gay man. He says he's not gay anymore because he converted to Catholicism, and we're not sure if that's real, not real. Don't care.
He's a shady character.
He's a very shady
character.
character.
Nothing to do with the fact that he's gay. Milo has openly discussed holding files of blackmail on politicians and people of affluence and using it to get his way. He's been known to do slimy things. One of the most concerning thing is that he's actually advocated for pedophilia before. Forgot what the direct quote was, but basically that.
Yeah. So, he was very controversial, would always be very disrespectful to women and all the inflammatory stuff. His downfall from Breitbart when he was an editor was because he was caught saying that there could be an exception or whatever to having a relationship between a 13-year-old and like a 28 or 25-year-old, pretty much pro pedophile talk. And so he was actually dropped from Breitbart, CPAC, and so began the cancellation of Milo. Apparently, there was also some racist discussion going on Twitter back when he was on Twitter with Leslie Jones. And so very controversial guy. We see Kanye with him, and then a rumor started on Telegram. The reason why I know this is because from time to time, I'll go see what the cancel people are saying on Telegram because I want to know what they're saying. And I see a rumor of that potentially Nick Fuentes was going to meet with Kanye West. Somebody posted a little graphic of them meeting, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this isn't too far-fetched because technically both are some of the most canceled men in America, except one is a ex-billionaire husband of Kim Kardashian rapper. The other one's a fringe 24-year-old live streamer. And so what ends up happening, fast forward, we see images and a video of Kanye and Nick Fuentes in the Miami airport. Hours later, Kanye puts out a tweet and says that it was his first time at Mar-A-Lago and he can't believe he made President Trump wait, but there was like rain or whatever, and he wore jeans. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think President Trump's response was when I asked him to be my VP? And he had a poll. So that same night that tweet comes out, we still didn't know that these characters had dined with Trump. We come to find out that the dinner wasn't between just Trump and Kanye. It was Trump, Kanye, Nick, Milo, and 2 other characters. All hell breaks loose. Actually, the first people to break the story were the people at Timcast. Cassandra is the editor-in-chief. Her on Twitter is @CassandraRules. And so she's the first person to be like, exclusive details about dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago and Nick Fuentes and Milo. And the article itself was pretty much kind of portraying Trump as a grouchy old man who got pissed off because he was questioned by Kanye about the January 6th political prisoners and why Trump didn't help him, and then there was a discussion about Kim Kardashian. Allegedly, Trump said some inappropriate comments about Kim, to which Kanye, I know what you're gonna say, to which Kanye responded, "That is the mother of my children that you're talking about." This was all in a video that he posted. And I know Bella has something to say about that.
Yeah, I do, because so allegedly what happened was that Trump refers to Kim Kardashian as a bitch. Seems
we think that's what I think.
Well, I just feel like between
that's what
boys,
I think he said.
like that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a fuck? Like, she's not with you. She's openly, with other dudes. Clearly, you're talking about how she doesn't let you see your children. So it seems like a pretty logical thing for Trump to say. Anyways, then Ye goes on this, oh, that's the mother of my child, and she disrespected me. Meanwhile, Candace Owens has been dragging Kim Kardashian,
saying really awful things about
things, straight
really
up calling
awful
her
things,
a prostitute
and a corpse,
and that's supposed to be his friend. So why is he okay with Candace dragging Kim,
right? But
then it's supposed to be like a huge deal when Trump refers to her.
It was
as
pretty
a bitch.
hypocritical.
Sometimes people act like bitches, and that name is not referred to women. Sometimes men act like
to be fair,
too.
Kim Kardashian was a bitch to Trump because Trump had her at the White House. It was actually Ivanka and Jared who mediated a meeting to go there, and her entire wanted to liberate all these Black people that were in jail. And Trump said, you know what, I'll help you out. And they did. And guess what? Kemp never wanted to promote Trump. Probably didn't vote for him either. And so once again, yet someone else from Hollywood, or someone that when they needed Trump, he was there. And then, of course, they backstab him. So she is a bitch. With that being said, what ended up happening after that dinner was that all hell broke loose, because Nick Fuentes, you guys got to understand something. We're going to tell you who Nick Fuentes is, so you understand how the gravity of the situation. Obviously, to us, we don't think it's a big deal, because we know the media and the Union Party are the real enemies. And even if we don't agree with someone's ideology, it does not, there's no merits for what's happened since, what's transpired since that event that wasn't that eventful. It's not like Fuentes and Co. and Kanye are going to talk about anti-Semitism while they there, or any violence, or any, inflammatory comments. They were there for something else. In a way, Kanye was there to pressure Trump into responding to a lot of the things that people have questions about, like the January 6th prisoners. Why didn't Trump help the January 6th prisoners? I mean, we know that he was in a very tough situation. January 6th happened. He was out literally 14 days later. Most of the people weren't even arrested
at that point.
Most of the people weren't even arrested at that point. How could you pardon people that you don't even know whose crimes were going to be, what they were going to be charged with, if they were actually going to go to jail? Some people say that Trump should have blanket pardon everybody. Just blanket pardon everybody before he left the White House. Just sign an executive order.
Admitting that something was wrong when nothing happened. Here's the part that cracks me up about the insurrection. There was none. Right. Insurrection is a violent uprising to take over the government. We live in the country with the most weapons per capita. If somebody was going to attempt a violent takeover, whatever you want to call it, that's not what it would have looked like. So that conversation upsets me, because then inadvertently, when you're trying to pass off blame or whatever it is, it's like Trump should have pardoned them. Pardon them for what? They didn't do anything. They were there on a peaceful protest, and there was a couple of Antifa nerds and also some optics put together that make it look like it was something that it wasn't.
Yeah. So with that being said, before I go into why I ended up changing my mind over Kanye, so I'm pissed off. I'm like, F Kanye, like, what is he doing? I go on Truth Social. Bella's like, go on Truth Social. He just got, Truth Social, and probably doesn't have that many followers, so he could probably see what you're saying, blah, blah, blah. Go on Truth Social and bitching about the whole thing, what's going on. And then I start doing a little bit more research into, or actually not just that, but more details come out about the dinner. Right. And then fast forward to 2 days ago, where we find out that Kanye was going on Timcast, right? Tim Pool. And by the way, I'll go back to who Nick Fuentes is for those who you don't know. So now we see that Kanye, Milo, and Nick Fuentes are on the way to Timcast. Everyone's waiting for this interview because everybody wants to know, is Kanye going to run for office? What the hell is he doing with Milo and Nick Fuentes? What is the deal with the whole Jewish situation that he's calling out, the anti-Semitism? And so they go to this interview, okay? They agree to the interview. Again, the reason why they get connected to Tim Pool is because Milo, who's now advising Kanye West, is friends with Cassandra, who's part of the Timcast team, okay? So that's how they arranged the whole situation. They go, and it lasted a whole 20 minutes before Kanye walked out, because Tim Pool was challenging him about the entire
that brings up anti-Semitism. A good point, which is Eric Joseph, consistent follower of our channel. Thank you so much with your $9.99 donation. And he says, who is they, Tim? Who is they?
Yeah.
And quoted Ye. So Tim refused to mention and acknowledge that,
who they was. Right. So obviously they, he's like, the media, he met the business people who happen to be Jewish. And so that's when Kanye walks out. But what we find out in that conversation from Kanye himself is that Trump had no idea who these people were. He was completely blindsided. And to be honest with you, the way Kanye told the story seemed like a pretty genuine like pretty genuine like story. Like it didn't seem fabricated. It didn't seem like
and Nick Fuentes also said it as well, that Trump hadn't recognized him when he saw him. Like he's like, I'm sure that Trump
maybe
heard
has
of
heard
me
of right,
before,
but he didn't know.
Make the correlation that it was me. I mean, why wouldn't you think that the rappers with an entourage of people that you just have no reason why to know who they are?
Yeah. So where was I going with this? Fuentes. Okay, so Kanye basically says that when they arrived and they were waiting, Trump comes in, people are, clapping, they stand up, the whole thing, and then Trump approaches them. Kanye asks Trump, hey, should I just go with you? Like just us two, whatever. He's like, no, bring your friends. I went around loose Trump, and I don't mean loose in like the bad way. I've been around like the first time that I met Trump, we were at a dinner, we had seen him early, we had taken a picture, and then he went on his way to bed or whatever, and I was with a couple of girls, a couple of friends of mine in a dining room area, and Trump came out of nowhere from like the other side, like on his own, and he starts talking to people, and he's super friendly, and he's like, are you ladies having a good time? He like grabs a man's shoulder, are you having a good time? Is everything okay? Extremely nice, just a good host overall. So I can totally see him saying like, yeah, go ahead, bring your friends. Like,
your friends.
He's not gonna
not
like
a secret conversation.
If you guys think that 7-year-old Trump is watching America First live with Nick Fuentes on a random Tuesday at 9:00, like, no, that's just not happening. And so with that being said, all these things come out. Trump puts out 3 statements saying, I had no idea who these people were. It was an uneventful dinner. I was trying to help out Kanye. He was asking me for business advice. Why not? Why wouldn't I, invite him to come here? But then it was the media, the Unit Party, Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all these people disavowing Trump. And by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Milo was Marjorie Taylor Greene's
I don't know. I know he works with her.
He was an unpaid intern in the summer. So now
I think he still works for her.
No. They confirmed, like, it just happened this week. They don't work with him. So, this whole thing blows out of proportion. And so now look at the headlines. Kanye is being denounced by everybody. I'm sorry, Trump is being denounced by everybody. He's dying with the white supremacists. He's dying with the Holocaust denier. How could he? How could he? You guys know that Trump has been the number one a pro-Zionism, pro-Israel, that has actually gotten a lot of criticism from his supporters who are not that pro-Israel. I'm going to be honest with you. Not everyone that America First, not everyone who supports Trump supports Zionism and supports Israel. That's just a fact. But people look at the bigger picture and they say, hey, maybe that they don't support the state of Israel, but maybe they just don't care that much about it because to them, it's America first, right? So they're willing to overlook that stuff. You're not going to tell me that the president that has done the most for Israel, the most for Jewish people, is a white supremacist, is okay with anti-Semitism, is okay with everything that the media is alleging. But of course, we know that what they're trying to do, once again, back to 2016, is get Trump, either indicted or his reputation, demoralize the base, which is what they have been doing since elections, and obviously promoting DeSantis, because I go on Twitter and I see every single DeSantis bro, see, this is why we need DeSantis. If DeSantis was president, none of this will be happening. If DeSantis was president, he would never have dined with Nick Fuentes. He would have known who Nick Fuentes was. We wouldn't have to be defending DeSantis over and over and over and over again by the same talking mouths. And guess what? Those people that are bashing Trump on social media, the Dave Rubins of the world, the Ben Shapiro's of the world, the Matt Walsh of the world, the Mike Cernovich, all these people that are bashing Trump and jumping on the DeSantis bandwagon are exactly the people that Kanye was telling him, hey, listen, your real supporters that aren't allowed to come near you because they're very controversial still have your back regardless if they're completely banned from the world, from the internet, and canceled. Meanwhile, the safe influencers, the safe media personalities who hate you, who want you out, who never want to see you back in the White House are the people allowed to come around you, are the people that want to advise you, are the people that want to tell you that it's better if you're more moderate. Tone down. Don't be Trump. That is what's going on. So in a way, even though it's really bad for Trump right now because the media is really crucifying him.
But the media's always crucified him.
The media's
so
always...
like, to me, like, this is just another elaborate like hill for them to be like, this is the one that's going to get Trump out. This is how we're going to do it. And it's just every single time it backfires. Like, what else needs to be said? Trump says he didn't know that it was Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes says Trump didn't know that it was me. There's really nowhere else that this narrative has to go. You know exactly what the intentions are of the people that continue to bring it up as if though it was a factor. It's a non-factor. Donald Trump met with Ye. If he's a man that has met with Ye before, Trump is a good friend time and time again. He's proven that he is a very loyal individual.
Talk about Michael Jackson.
He sees Ye in a time of, did he support Michael Jackson till the end as well?
Yeah.
He sees his friendships through, and he doesn't care that you're being canceled. He agrees to meet with you, and that was part of why I was so upset with Ye after all of this happened. We were all upset
because
it's like,
we thought it was a setup.
Wait a minute. Nobody wants to meet with you because they're scared to touch you. It's like you have leprosy because you've been canceled by the entire world. And here comes this guy with everything to lose, running for 2024 presidency, had just gotten recognized by the Friends of Zion or whatever the hell it was, that award that he got. And he agrees to meet with you despite having Trump is a smart man. There's a certain level of awareness that there's going to be some backlash from meeting with Kanye West. And you go out there and you meet with him, and then it's kind of, taking an opportunity to shit on Trump after he just showed you human kindness and decency by allowing you into his home and feeding you a meal. And that was the part that was alarming. But then I also go back to the part where what Ye has described that he's been through over the last couple of weeks sounds nothing short to me of MK Ultra programming. And if that's the case, then we already know that he's already gone through one round of MK Ultra programming. He'd spoken about it. This is what Harley did to him. They drugged him. They put him in zombie land, just not forever. So knowing and understanding that, I don't think that Ye is crazy. I don't think that Ye is crazy at all. But I do think that he's mad paranoid and defensive right now, as he very much should be, be. Unfortunately, though, what I worry about is that Milo is a very calculated, conniving person. He's already he's not above blackmail. He's not about revenge and exposing or whatever it is. And it concerns me that somebody in such a vulnerable space as Ye is right now, with the entire world turning on him, has found some level of solace within a character like Milo, who is not to be trusted. Not to mention, more importantly than anything else, Ye is the king of cool. Ye is the king of all things that are fresh, that are new. He's about being an innovator, making things that nobody knew about seem awesome. Milo could not be a cringier character to be involved with.
But here's the thing.
The levels of cringe alone, sis. The levels of cringe
of cringe. Hold on. I want to give a shout out to Robert Lee. Thank you so much. He's here every Thursday. He says, según la gente, DeSantis is más carismático. What that means for our non-Spanish speaking friends is that allegedly people say that DeSantis is more charismatic than Trump. That is absolutely not true at all. In fact, the problem with DeSantis,
wait until they see the first debate.
The problem with DeSantis is that he is not charismatic. He has a very dry personality. Yeah, sometimes he says base things and hits back at the media, but he doesn't have the it factor. Again, not to take away from the fact that he is a great governor, but it's just like Marco Rubio. Sometimes he says good things, sometimes he doesn't. Doesn't mean they're all bad. Then the second thing Robert says is, al parecer, soy supremacista porque a mí me encantan los republicanos. He says, allegedly, I'm also a supremacist because I love Republicans. And then Adam Silva, thank you so much. Fantastic insight. As always, says the Union Party is terrified of Trump. This is very true. It's more evident than ever.
I don't think the Union Party has ever been more exposed than they are right now at this current moment.
I agree. Which is why we are MAGA for life. They will not stop us. Bless you both. Thank you so much, Adam. You're always here with us. And by the way, I just told Bella that I gotta go pick up the package that you sent us because I've completely forgotten to go to the post office, which is where our mailbox is at, or whatever it's called. So let me explain to you guys before I go back to Milo and why I think even if it was arranged in a negative light or to set up Trump, which is what it looks like now, it's actually going to help Trump on his own. And we talked about it privately. But who is Nick Fuentes? For those of you who don't know, I think some of you guys know. I'm not sure if everybody does, but he is a 24-year-old live streamer. He's been live streaming his America First show for about 6 years. When I was doing research, I saw that. So he's a Zoomer. His entire following is young guys, even in high school. From what I heard, some of these guys, some of these boys can't even vote yet. Obviously, other ones that are in the voting age can vote, but he has a very young following, mostly Zoomers, males, Christians. Everything is about Christ is King, and he says a lot of inflammatory comments about Black people, Jewish people, Latinos, women. I mean, you name
everybody
it.
Gets a fair
Everybody
shot
gets a fair shot with Nick Fuentes.
He hates everybody equally.
But here's the thing about Fuentes, that they don't want to that it's going to sound a little bit controversial, and perhaps people don't like to hear the truth, but he is a star. He does have star power. Now, you can have star power and be a bad person or a good person. That doesn't matter, right? Look at some of the world's worst leaders in the world. They had star power, right? Fidel Castro, as much as we hated him and he was a terrible, terrible dictator, and a terrible dad, and a terrible dad, and a terrible person, he had star power. You know, he had the ability to convince people about his cause and what it meant to fight for the people and socialism and social justice. So that is the thing with Nick Fuentes. He has a very loyal following. He has the ability to mobilize masses.
And it's not just that he has a loyal following, which he does. Yeah. Linda and I were having this conversation earlier. The number of followers is so irrelevant unless you have a base of people that
are willing, right?
If you don't have a base of people that will, if you tell them, I'm going to be in this event, I want you guys to come see me, that are going to show up, or I endorse this product, or whatever it may be, there's no power there. And Fuentes has not just a loyal following, he's got a following that would move mountains in order to support him. And more importantly, he's got a grip on a demographic
that the GOP does not have.
The GOP just does not have.
They do not have. This is perhaps the only right-wing dissident movement that those people that do not see TPUSA, PragerU as their style or somebody that can relate to, they go to Nick Fuentes. This guy's been banned from everything from Instagram to Twitter, and the only platforms that he's allowed is obviously his Telegram. They have a cozy.tv, which is, I believe, where they stream live every day. Now he canceled his show because he's going to be working with Kanye West. And so he has that very loyal following. The kid, from my understanding, I talked about it briefly on my story. I just didn't mention his name, so I deleted it because it just sounded like I didn't write it properly. But after January 6th, the feds came after Nick Fuentes and his associates, the Groypers and the America First movement, because they went to January 6th. They didn't commit any crimes. They weren't inside of the Capitol. They didn't break anything. There was no violence. However, because they were part of a Stop the Steal movement, because they attended this protest, the feds came after Fuentes. He wakes up one day, he sees that his bank account, they have seized and frozen his bank account, $500,000 frozen. The feds had taken it, okay, because he's under investigation. He also finds out when he's going to catch a flight to Florida that he's been put on a no-fly list, and they can't tell him anything about it. He tries to fly out of another airport, finds out that, yes, indeed, he's on a no-fly list. It goes on for a very long time. I believe that now that has been reversed, and I'm not sure what happened with the money. They probably gave it back to him. But it is a crazy thing when you think about it, that no one, I think only Tucker Carlson spoke about it, because even if he is a Holocaust denier, even if he is a white supremacist, whatever it may be, where is the crime for the feds to come after your money and freeze your assets? Where is the crime for the feds to come after and put you in a no-fly list? Okay. So
he has been, Lily just said that kid's been through hell. And you know what?
yeah,
Linda
he has
shared
been through
with me
hell.
today
Yeah.
a statement that he had made where basically like he feels bad because he really doesn't think that Trump recognized him. And now he feels like, he is a Trump loyalist and he feels like he put Trump in a bad position.
Right.
And y'all, as somebody who's been canceled and has had that, like, or attempted to be canceled, because nobody's going to cancel us, but as seeing people around you be put into shitty positions because people hate you because of your political ideology, it resonated so much with it.
It does.
Because it's like shit. Like, I just want to be able to support this guy, and my support could potentially be detrimental to him. So like, I got to do it in silence, and I got to lurk in the corners and not support Donald Trump loudly. And it's like, nobody should feel that way. Nobody should feel that way. I don't in any capacity promote hate speech of any cost. And I understand why the comments that are being made, maybe by Ye or whatnot, can be hurtful. And words can be hurtful. People have said very hurtful things about me, and I think we've all experienced that in one way or another. The problem is that at the end of the day, they're just words. And we've got one protected class of people that any kind of commentary towards them, because even if it's a positive commentary, like we've talked about in the past, where it's like, if they say, make a comment about them being good with money, about, Jewish people are good with money or whatever it is, and that too can be considered defamatory. And when that much power is given to speech about just any group, it would be dangerous. If you told me that somebody can have the IRS, their homes, their businesses taken from them because they said something nasty about Cubans, that's not fair. I mean, it's about any group. Nobody should be getting punished to this severity for speech.
No, absolutely not. I mean, look at what they're doing with Kanye. We found out during the Tim Cass live stream that the IRS is not coming after him. So they're just looking for any reason to continue to buck break this black man who spoke against a very protected class. And again, we have to be fair. It's like with the January 6th people. There is a lot of people that do not deserve to be in most people don't deserve to be in solitary confinement or be spending their time there without a fair and free trial, right? We completely understand that what's going on is actually disgusting. It's un-American. They're treating MAGA patriots that are in jail in the DC gulags like they would treat the Taliban. Like they would treat ISIS, like they would treat any of these insurgent groups in the Middle East that we have been fighting for the last 20 years. Okay. No fair and free trial. So, but there's also the part where we've said it before. I do not condone violence, and I do not condone you going into any building, destroying property.
Absolutely.
So if you did that on January 6th, there's going to be consequences. There's going to be consequences for that. And I'm not saying that any of what happened to these people is warranted or deserved.
Right, because we know that there's people that are being punished for just stepping into the Capitol where doors had been wide open for them. And we can discuss the fairness of J6 prisoners all day, but to go back to the conversation, and there was somebody in the comments who said, like, I don't care, I'm still going to be mad at Trump because he should have pardoned them. But pardon them for what, my dear? Like,
and how could you? Where's the legal process?
Somebody that hasn't been, they weren't even arrested at this point.
Today, they just charged two people today. Just charged two people today. This
all happened way after, and if you guys remember correctly, for a very long time, they were trying to build a case. They're still trying to build a case against Trump. So Trump is going to so that then it could have made a blanket guilty statement for the people that were there. There's nothing to pardon.
Okay, the girl that keeps saying he needs to do something. Do you realize that Donald Trump is a private citizen? The most he's been able to do is donate to their legal funds and have communication with Ashley Babbitt's family. I know that's happened for a fact, but Trump is a savior. What is Trump going? Trump is not in office. The only thing he has said is, once I go back in office, obviously if I win, which how do we know they're going to allow him to win after what we saw in 2020, is that I will pardon these people. But what can he do from outside of jail? The people that can do something are our representatives. Marco Rubio, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Matt Gaetz have been the only two Congress people or people in Congress that have gone to the DC gulags, that have tried to go in, that have tried to film, that have tried to do something. No one does anything.
Nobody does it.
And this is my
It's up to
problem.
us. And another argument with the J6 and why I've always had an argument, and again, this is just me, but with the Trump needs to do something for the J6 defendants. I'm sorry. Number one, the J6 patriots that are arrested right now would probably be damned if you considered them victims. I understand that they're victims of the system, but these people didn't go out. They don't feel victims of January 6th. They went to January 6th to defend and stand up for their country.
Where is
not
the GOP?
To protect Donald Trump.
Right.
No, the people that were at J6 were protesting inconsistencies in an election. It doesn't matter who should have been elected at that point. I don't care. I didn't go out there for Donald Trump. I was in DC protesting the fact that there was inconsistencies with our elections that weren't being looked at. And so when you say Trump needs to do something, these are the same people that unfortunately I feel have made a savior, want to make Donald Trump to be some kind of savior. And he's going to fall short every single time because he's just one man. He's not a savior. He can't pardon people that haven't been arrested. He can't overturn an election with inconsistencies that nobody else in Congress and our checks and balances will end up looking at. He is only one person, So it's like when we talk about like the wall, for example, he wanted to build a wall. He would have given us the wall in his first year if he would have had the right support. These are the checks and balances of our country and how it operates and why we don't live in a dictatorship and why the majority of people look down on somebody like Putin or and his way of life when, you can criticize it all you want. But guess what? If Vladdy wants to build a wall, he can build a wall.
So, let me go back to the whole Milo situation for a second, because I'm not a Milo fan and I agree that it was a setup and I understand everyone's concerns and Trump could have, doesn't matter at this point, the deed was done, right? We can't go back in time. We don't have a time machine. But let me tell you guys something. As someone who has been around mainstream media personalities and influencers, who knows a little bit about what goes on inside, the political world and how dirty it is and how terrible people can be and all the backstabbers against President Trump, which is why I'm such a Cult 45 follower. I can tell you right now that even though Nick Fuentes is a controversial figure, someone that maybe his ideas should be mainstream, depends on how you feel. This is not my opinion, by the way. I'm just saying what the GOP says, right? GOP is saying that people like this don't have a place at the dinner table. Their ideas do not have a place in our society, whatever those ideas may be. It doesn't matter to them, these kids' votes. They think that it's just one man, right? And that he's just crazy. There's thousands of young men who follow and look up to Nick Fuentes. And now more than ever, they have made him extremely famous by deciding to put him in every single media article that you can think of. The kid has been trending for 3 days straight on Twitter, okay? So if you didn't want to make this kid famous, you failed miserably because he's more mentioned on Twitter than Kanye West himself. Every single person is either wondering who Nick Fuentes is, looking up Nick Fuentes, or saying, that's my dog and I support him, America first, whatever it is that the Groypers say. All of them are excited because you have this kid whose mom had cancer, was canceled from everything, couldn't fly, assets were frozen, canceled from every single social media platform, noticed by the biggest, most influential Black man in the last, God knows, maybe even American history, which is Kanye West, saying, I want you to come into my team and advise my campaign. I'm going to fly you private. This kid went from not being able to board a regular economy flight to Florida to flying private with Kanye West and advising Kanye West. I mean, are we understanding how crazy things are right now, or is it just me? Because I couldn't have predicted this even if I wanted to. And you guys know that I predicted a lot of things, but I could have never predicted this. And here's the thing. By Kanye West bringing in these controversial people, putting them in front of Donald Trump, and they're telling him things that his advisors wouldn't normally tell him about what is going on in the real world. You got to understand that people that are around the president, the normies, the people that don't say anything controversial, racist, anti-Semitic jokes, nothing bad against women. They love all the gays. They love transgenders. All these vanilla people around the president who are advising him do not have the knowledge of what is going on the internet. It took Trump about 2 years for him to finally stop mentioning the Jews, the pharma Jews, because nobody was telling him, hey, listen, you are losing followers on social media. The word is spreading. You're not doing this right. So by putting these people, even if it was a setup, and telling him, listen, you know, your speech was low energy on that 2024 announcement. You can't compete against DeSantis by being a moderate and turning down the volume and not going 2016. By them bringing these kids who are extremely controversial, whatever you may think of them, Trump is getting a fresh and different perspective, even if it's radical, that he didn't have before. You guys understand this? Because the entire new thing since election is that Trump cannot gain moderates. He cannot bring in Democrats. He cannot bring independents. He's not an electable president. He's not liked. He's not supported. And all these other things, all of the conspiracies that have come since the election. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I see how bad it is because I see the media. I was very upset, but now I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe this is a way for Trump to see that he is losing support, that people are saying, why would I vote for you again if you're not going to stop, if you're just going to be another DeSantis? If there's no distinction between Trump and DeSantis,
well,
I'm going to go for the third option, which is Kanye West.
I just don't think that there's been an opportunity to make that distinction because Trump has only announced that he's running. And I think that was just a power move on DeSantis to announce it before DeSantis did. And I personally feel like he hasn't let loose. We don't know where the campaign is going to go. We don't know who he's going to align with. We don't know what he's going to drop. Clearly the fact that he would go into the 2024 announcement and not speak about the juice at all when he spent the last 3 years, like Anomaly calls him the juice salesman. I think that in itself is very telling that there's definitely a change in direction that he's going to go in. And I have faith in Donald Trump that he knows the art of war. Appear weak when you are strong. And something tells me that he's allowing this to play out because he's watching to see what it is that the Uniparty is going to do. And more importantly, what Ron DeSantis is going to do. Because it's my personal theory that there's a lot of people backing DeSantis because they want him to run for 2024. But DeSantis hasn't necessarily made up his mind that he's going to be that candidate. What they need is somebody to run up against Trump. Would it be DeSantis? Maybe, maybe not. If DeSantis says it's not going to be him, they'll find someone else. Now, does anybody else have the power to do that?
Well, here's the thing too. DeSantis hasn't announced, but today he came out. One of his spokespeople said that he's coming out with a book. The book is called like Florida and the blueprint for the United States and stuff like
running.
That. He is gonna run.
He is gonna run. The question is, I think that it's in his mind that he's gonna run. My thing is there anything that could happen between now and that period that gets him to change his mind?
Well, and one of the main reasons why they call Nick Fuentes a white supremacist, from my understanding, again, I don't watch all of his live streams. I've seen clips and stuff like that, but he does talk a lot about the white race, right? Yeah. Which is forbidden in this country for some odd reason. We can talk about Blacks, Latinos, Asians, Jews, but we can never speak about the white race. The white people cannot, for the love of God, start a group or anything that it wants to, speak for their race. That cannot happen because that would be the KKK. We know that. And so, a lot of the points that people in his group or that they make is that Trump won the 2016 election by going to places like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and speaking to those forgotten white people of America, in which he flipped all 3 states that no president had ever done, or I don't know when was the last time, maybe Reagan did it or whatever, and won the most votes than any other Republican president in a landslide and whatnot, and also gained 15 million more votes in 2020. So when you are alienating these white people from the party, because now the GOP has become a tent for everybody. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. But when you're alienating, you're not speaking to that base anymore, which elected you the first time. you know, people are going to be disappointed. People are going to talk about it. People are going to say, hey, what are you doing? What about us? What about our people that we elected you the first time? You know, we helped elect you the first time. Now it's all about the Black voters. Now it's all about the Latino voters. Now we have a gay coalition. Now we have all of these other minorities. But what about the whites? Do you just expect the whites to show up on election day and say, I'm going to reelect Donald Trump, even though none of our interests are actually on the table anymore? You know, is that a fair question?
I don't feel like it's a fair question.
Does that make him a white supremacist? Is what I'm saying. I'm talking about their perspective. It's not mine. You know, I'm just bringing up what they said.
Is always going to be the one that's not that smart for not using the other word that's canceled, and they'll take down our channel. Like they got to find something to criticize Trump about. We don't even know what his platform is going to be. We don't even know what he's going to stand for. All we know his platform is going to be about finding ways of liberating the J6 prisoners and going after pharmaceutical companies that were behind the juice. We don't know that because we haven't given that opportunity hasn't been given to him yet. And I feel like there's a lot of things happening right now ahead of time. And Donald Trump is a genius when it comes to these things. I feel like he's allowing the enemy to shoot out all their ammunition right now so that by the time that he comes in and drops some like super magnum, whatever it is that he's going to drop, they've got nothing to throw at him. Now, can we talk about Balenciaga for a little bit?
But let me add, I don't think you've seen what Donald Trump said literally about before you walked in. Donald Trump said this. Sorry, it's so dirty. Donald Trump said this on Truth. It said, this election cycle reminds me so much of 2016, which is what a lot of people have been saying, much more so than 2020, where I actually did much better, got 20 million more votes. Fox News and the Wall Street Journal were terrible to me, much like today, until I won the election. CNN, when they actually had great ratings, was terrific. They covered me no matter where I went 24/7. The big difference is my record: best economy and border, no inflation or wars, energy independence, record jobs, strong military, worldwide respect, and so much more. And again, these are all things that I agree with when it comes to Donald Trump's presidency, and the reason why I would vote for him again. That's why. I'm not like these DeSantis stan bros that haven't even heard his foreign policy. We have no idea whether he would continue to support the war in Ukraine because it's a proxy war. We have no idea what he would do about China, what he would do about Russia, Iran, how he would handle the border. We know. I had to remind a friend just yesterday. I said, do you guys remember how Donald Trump had the world and every single one of our either allies or enemies? Do you guys remember how he called the Mexican president and told him, I need 20,000 of your troops or National Guard to go at the border right now and stop immigration? And he did, even though he's a far left president of Mexico, when he told Bukele that he was going to ship over all of MS-13 back to El Salvador, something that had never been done before. These are things that matter, right? These are things that matter. DeSantis signing an executive order a year after COVID, a year after we had been locked down and wearing masks for a whole year. Yeah, sure, it's great. But is it in the greater scheme of things? Do you elect someone over that? You don't. But here's the thing. The Groypers and that dissident right doesn't care anymore about the economy. That's their whole thing. What are you going to run on? Just gas prices? Do you not see what's going on with the trannies and the degenerate drag queens and kids? They see the cultural issues, the mass abortions, the mass immigrations, all these things as a much greater problem than us. We see things as, I care about the economy. I care about lower gas prices. I care about a strong border. I care about the war in Ukraine. Do you see what I'm saying? There's like different what do you call it, platforms that they wanted to run. And Kanye, as he has gone into his entire spiritual, I'm Jesus type of person. And here's the thing for those of you who... What? Oh, I'm so sorry. This is the last thing that I'm going to say.
Been on for an hour on the Kanye.
This is the last thing that I'm going to say. Kanye, I believe, is going through his phase of, I'm going to sit with like the sinners because, Jesus would do that. And so he always gets the most canceled people. Like he got Marilyn Mason and the baby to hang out with him the whole time. And I think that's what he's doing with Milo and Nick. to.
Like going for
So
specifically.
he cares about doing the whole Jesus thing where I'm gonna hang out with the most canceled people, and Jesus dined with sinners, and Jesus died with prostitutes, and he healed the
I mean,
leprosy.
I just imagine,
So,
like, I don't know if that's
you
it.
know.
I don't know if that's necessarily what it's about as much as it's about the conversation that like he's having that nobody else is, right? So clearly he's gonna find some kind of common ground with people that have been canceled for speaking out against the same things, or about the same things that he's currently speaking on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk, because it's making all the normie news. The Balenciaga ad, for those of you that have not seen it, by this point I'm sure many of you have. Balenciaga dropped a very pedophile driven ad where they had an image of
BDSM.
children with the teddy bears dressed up in BDSM gear. And it seems like the story has just continued to spiral out of control. It started off with the spring 2023 ad. Along with the bears, we found that there was paper scattered that made reference to a Supreme Court ruling regarding child pornography. So it does seem like it is in fact very legitimate. People went back to look at their ads with Adidas, and they were able to find in the background of one of the photos, there is an award labeled to a man who has also been accused of child pornography. So now more things are coming out. Things are getting a lot deeper. On the way over here, I just found out that the CEO of Balenciaga, the parent company for Balenciaga, which is owned by a Mr. Francois Henry Pinault, and he owns the Christie auction house and is married to fellow Latina Salma Hayek, actually operates a website that auctions off child sex like mannequins. I would advise you guys to go ahead.
Oh my God, that's like the Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, it's absolutely like the Jeffrey Dahmer.
That's like the Jeffrey Dahmer.
I can't put, honestly, I won't pull up the pictures because I'm concerned that it'll get our channel taken down. But if you guys research, CEO at Balenciaga owns auction site that sells child sex mannequins. This is very much like the Jeffrey Dahmer thing, but more importantly, very much like what we saw a couple of years back with the Podesta art collection, which was similar to what we saw over at Comet Pizza, where there's these images of mutilated children, genitalia, things that are just not the norm, and that it's disturbing enough where we can't even put them here on the show. So I would encourage you guys to go out there and search for what it is that Salma Hayek's husband, the CEO of the parent company for Balenciaga, is currently up to. There's a couple of things that have also come up, like the direct translation term Balenciaga is also do as thou will, which ends up being kind of the Aleister Crowley rule, if you will, for Satanism, which is, do whatever you want. Yeah. The other one is when you separate Balenciaga into three different words, then it ends up ball and Siaga. It ends up being ball is king. For those of you that are unaware, Baal is a deity. It's like a devil deity that you guys have probably seen. It's they do the symbol of the.
It's basically a transgender because it's basically a transgender.
It's a deity that people sacrificed children to. Yeah. So this is the fact that Balenciaga is now going down, and then there's so many things that have come out, right? Like the designer for the people were going through the Instagram for the stylist for the Balenciaga.
It was some Russian lady. And my friend, so I have a friend, I won't mention who they are, but this person buys a lot of Balenciaga, like thousands of dollars worth of Balenciaga. And therefore, when you buy that much from a fashion house, you have access to their stylists, different people and whatnot. Obviously, this person's very, very upset about what happened. It's not gonna buy it anymore. Was texting all of the what is it called? Who are the people that you call whenever you're gonna buy an expensive item? The sales associate, whatever you call it. And one of the things that this person was telling me a few days ago when this all happened was that entire crew or like the designer and whatnot, they were saying they have they're very dark, right? And you can see it in their fashion shows. You can see it in their ads. It's full of darkness. Allegedly, they say that they're very inspired by Nazis, which is crazy because they were the first ones to cancel Kanye. But again, it's not like they own it. They're following directions, as you said, from LVMH. I think those are the brands that own Balenciaga and others. But they were saying how when you look at the images of the kids, you obviously see the little toys dressed in BDSM. Now, where are they getting this idea? Right? This is what people got to understand. Yeah, it's bad, but where are they getting this idea? Is it that they watch child porn? Is it that they're trying to introduce us in a softer, fashion-like way to sexualize kids a little more? Where is this coming? Where is this darkness coming from? Is the thing, right?
Andrew Tate had they just released like a bit on an interview that he was on where he was talking about how Satanists believe in karmic retribution. And basically the way that it is if they show you what it is and you continue to support it, then they are not basically, when you think about like burning in hell and eternal damnation, they can't be held responsible if you know what they're up to and still continue to purchase. So they tell you exactly what it is that you're doing. I just feel like this is such a vindicating moment for the people that have been talking about things like, Pizzagate and child sex trafficking. And I hate that I have to say Pizzagate and roll my eyes because I'm one of those people that genuinely does believe that there is a pedophile ring.
Yeah, you can't. You gotta be careful.
We got to be careful how it is that we say
here.
It. Right, correct. Yeah, we got to be careful how it is that we say it.
But but what more proof do we need? Like, do we need to go back to Epstein? I'm so tired. We talked about Epstein for the last 7 years. Like, we know it's there. We know it happens. We've had so many people from Hollywood, from Paris Hilton and others to come out and say there is a problem within this community. There is a problem within Hollywood and pedophiles. We saw Harvey Weinstein as well, Epstein, all these people. And now with the Balenciaga stuff, it's just, but the problem with the Balenciaga stuff is that now the mainstream media, the New York Times, and I think the Washington Post, they're making it into the QAnon, the right wing, the fringe, the Fox News watchers, the Trump supporters again. They're just paranoid QAnon retards online.
But how much worse does it have to get?
Well, I'm just saying this is obviously, like, you and I understand PR. The average person does not. Okay. A lot of times when you guys see an article, whether it's attacking TikTok, we're not attacking it, or in this case, Balenciaga, they have PR agents who have connections in the media. So if they want to call their little PR agents and say, I need you to put out some sort of soft statement where we're going to say that, yeah, maybe the Balenciaga stuff was bad, but guess who's making it worse? The QAnons. Yeah. The QAnons. And all they have to do is drop that word into the article, insert it in there. QAnon and the fashion industry meet. I think the article is something like that. And then you discredit the entire movement.
But they're never, the only way that has power is if we continue to give it power. Because personally, you tell me that somebody's QAnon, it's just like, oh, okay, what did they say about child sex trafficking?
Yeah.
Because that's literally all it is. It's like, all you have to do is talk about human trafficking and they automatically label you that.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, I will say this, and I think this sounds controversial. I've told two people, I told Bella and I've told somebody else and Anthony, I do not, like, when I open up TikTok, right, and I see all these liberals condemning child sex trafficking or the Balenciaga, I'm cutting up my shoes, I'm burning them, I'm cutting this up, I'm never supporting it. It's coming from all angles. And sure, you may sit here and say, oh, wow, this is great. Finally, we're all uniting. Like, everyone is for children. A lot of these people are doing it for the views, dude. Like, a lot of these people are literally doing it. They don't do it. They don't have genuine interest on children. If they did, they wouldn't have opposed the Don't Say Gay bill. They wouldn't be opposing Lips of TikTok. They wouldn't be opposing Matt Walsh. They wouldn't be opposing all the people from the right or wherever you want to call it. There's actually a lot of people that do not support Trump who do a lot of advocacy or work on exposing these pedophiles. You wouldn't have that much opposition because just last week, there was an entire 3 days of news media saying that Lips of TikTok, Matt Walsh, and I forgot the other person, were responsible for the unfortunate shooting that happened in the LGBT club in Orlando, or I forgot where it was.
Right.
So if you actually care for children, like you say that you do, now that the story went viral, thanks to our right-wing anons, or whoever found it first, you wouldn't be opposing all these things that we do all year long, right? Even from a conservative standpoint, I see so many people talking about it, and I'm like, gosh, I wish we had this many people at school board protests around the country. I wish this many people were standing up for children. I wish this many people were supporting candidates at their school board races, because guess where else they're doing that soft porn that we saw about Balenciaga? I hate to say, but it's actually a lot worse than what these kids see in their books. The Balenciaga was a lot less explicit than the masturbation, than the jacking off of a child.
Well, there's curriculum in
how
the
to
United
eat someone
States,
out
in some school districts that do talk about BDSM. Like, it's in your kids' schools. These are things that have been advocated for. I think it was a school in Iowa where the teachers union printed out badges for the school
BDSM
district, and then in the back it had a QR code, and the QR code would take you to basically soft core. Well, I mean, that's pretty hardcore actually, where kids were learning about things like fisting and BDSM and all of these other very highly inappropriate topics for adults to talk about publicly, much less for children to be engaging in during school. It's definitely opening up the conversation where it's like, bruh, you can call us crazy, conspiracy, cutard nuts all you want, and you cannot change the fact that this highly recognized fashion house ran a pro-pedophilia campaign and really thought that you weren't going to notice, or more, or worse, they thought you weren't going to care. And this is where we're at when you hear, when we started talking about grooming back in 2018, in 2019, when people still thought that it was like the most wild things. And then you've got the San Francisco gay choir singing a song literally called "We're Coming for Your Children," because they think it's so funny. And oh my God, the novelty. Oh yeah, we are going to come for your children. Bro, it's scary as shit, bro. They're doing this right in your faces. This isn't something that you have to dig deep and be all conspirational minded and look for like triangles or whatever it is in your in the background. It's blatant as shit. They don't care. Which we had posted a clip of a podcast we had a couple of weeks ago where we were talking about the normalization of pedophilia and how a lot of this like trans gender movement and getting rid of gender ideology eventually will lead to love is love. It doesn't matter. Age is just age. Who cares? Because they are trying to normalize pedophilia. And when you've got a huge brand like Balenciaga out there and they're advocating for this, promoting this, glamorizing it, that's really, the word. It's called glamorizing it. It's really difficult for anybody to convince me, oh, you're just a paranoid cutard. No, I'm fucking not, bro. I know what's right and I know what's wrong.
We're not paranoid at all. We just notice patterns and we talk about them, and then we get called conspiracy theorists. No different than when some of us were telling you about the vaccines or many other things that are now in the mainstream. I did want to say something about the gay marriage thing that just passed. So 12 Republican senators, since we're in the topic of all this stuff, they voted with the Democrats to codify gay marriage into law. So what this basically means is that, which is crazy because we know that gay marriage or same-sex marriage has been legal in all 50 states since Obama signed that executive order back in the day, and no one has done anything about it. But I guess since the reversal of Roe v. Wade and giving the power back to the states, because that's all that happened, abortion is still going on in America, they want to codify same-sex marriage. And the problem with the same-sex marriage situation or the bill that was just passed is that it also gives the opportunity in the room for persecution of religious institutions that do not want to marry same-sex couples. And it's basically like bake the cake, but now you're going to have to bake the cake legally. Now LGBT
well, it's beyond Republicans, bake the cake, because now we're not just talking about a private business having that right to choose or not choose who it is that they service. Now we're talking about if two transgender furries decide that they want to walk into a Catholic church and tell a priest that they want to be married, and that priest says no because they don't recognize transgender furry marriages, then now they could lose their tax exemption status.
And also the IRS can come after you.
Correct.
Right? The same way they're coming after Kanye.
It's all
the
a
same
paper
way.
trail. It's all about the IRS. Don't think for 1 second that the IRS agents were all a mistake. This is what our modern day Gestapo is, the IRS.
Mhm.
That's what they are doing. The way that they're going to punish these religious institutions that don't recognize their, same-sex marriage, not because they're full of hate, but it's just their religion. That's what they don't. They believe in a marriage between man and woman, like the God that they believe in intended. And here, the way that they hurt them is by churches have all sorts of tax exemptions that they do in order to be able to to stay open. That's how our country is funded, so that all of these the organizations, religious organizations, have ways of getting around taxes or paying lesser taxes so that they have a way of surviving. If you take away these tax exemptions from these organizations, they're not going to have. They're going to fail. They're just going to get rid of them eventually. And that's what's terrifying of it, that really what they're trying to do is that it is an attack on Christianity.
Yeah. And it comes back to what is the difference between parties now. Most of us are pretty accepting of alternative lifestyles. We've been okay with civil unions, whatever you want to call it. Where I'm not okay is when you infringe on our religious rights. When you are going to force Christians, Muslims, Jews, whatever, into marrying people or else they get in trouble. We'll see how that works out. But I do think that, I saw some LGBT Republicans advocating for this bill, not many of them. And they were using the word homophobe and transphobe and all these phobes. And it's like, dude, we have elevated you we have accepted you into the party. I mean, I'm a Trumpist, I'm not a Republican, or I'm registered, but you guys know what I mean. And we have been okay with many things, but now you're advocating for forcing these unions on religious people, and that's not okay. So I told Bala before we met here, and I said, I want to tell you guys how it is very possible, very, very possible that in the next 20 years, I wouldn't say in the next 10 years, but in the next 20 years or 30 years, we will see a president Kanye West. And if it's not a president Kanye West, it's going to be someone that is going to want to put Jesus and God first. I briefly spoke about the Weimar Republic on my story. Billy Corbin doesn't like me to talk about it because what was going on in the Weimar Republic in Berlin before the Nazis took over was very similar to what is going on right now. And the reason why they don't like to talk about it is because then they'll say that we are, in a way, saying that what happened, justifying the Holocaust or justifying Nazism or Hitler. That's not true at all. But history does repeat itself.
Right. If you don't understand history, then history is bound to repeat itself.
And it's scary because none of us actually want a fascist. We may fuck around a little bit and whatever, but that's not what we want, because we respect the Constitution, we respect freedom of religion, we respect freedom of speech and whatnot. And even if it's opposing views, I don't want to see liberals canceled on Twitter. I just mute them or don't follow.
I want to see Antifa. I want to see Antifa.
Okay, Antifa is different than a regular Alyssa Milano type of person.
No,
I don't. Okay, that's what I mean. Alyssa I'm not talking about the radicals. Right.
Antifa has to go.
Right. But with that being said, it's like when people laugh at a figure like Kanye West and or Trump, whoever, it could be the most controversial people. You guys got to understand something. There are certain people in our history, not just those two individuals, but you guys get it, right? That when they put something in their mind, as crazy as it may sound to you and I, right? We'll never see Trump as president. Trump became president. We'll never see a Kanye West president. The more we say it, the more obsessed they become with the idea of proving people wrong. And next thing you know, 25 years from now, we have Kanye West as president. Why will that happen? Because he is positioning himself as a third option who wants to put America first, Okay. He did it through Yeezys when he made Adidas manufacture. Those were the only shoes manufactured in America. Now, every single one of those people were laid off in Georgia, 150 people, no more. You have that. You have someone that's saying, I want to be a Christian first. He said it, God first, America first, Israel last. Okay. And when you have people with that type of fringe, if you want to call it, mentality, starting to build an army and starting to build a following, and all the canceled people unite against the uncanceled people, we're going to have a problem, because this is going to be a right that's going to come after the LGBT rights. They're going to protect religious freedom over
You didn't
anybody
really get
else.
a chance to go into the Weimar Republic, which you should, and how it ties to the Balenciaga stuff.
So yes. So when the Weimar Republic was going on, and by the way, if for any of my haters, particularly my Jewish haters, such as Billy Corbin or Marissa, you can actually visit the holocaustmuseum.gov.com. It talks about it there. So I'm not bringing this up from 4chan or some anti-Semitic website, just for my Jewish haters. But what was happening during the Weimar Republic was that you had a lot of scholars, you had a lot of liberal arts, and so the culture was extremely degenerate. Okay, all the art was just as dark as Balenciaga. You had a lot of drugs. You had a bunch of cabarets for LGBT people. You had transgenders. The first transgender
Underage
surgery was happening in Weimar, Germany, in Berlin, and then you had underage prostitution because they had normalized pedophilia. So you could go into a pharmacy, what they would call it a pharmacy. You guys can look this up after we're done with this podcast and see that I'm not lying. You can actually order, like, you would actually, the way that they would order was like let's say that you wanted like a redhead girl, right? And they would say that you needed like a red prescription. Like, they had keywords and they knew the language. Okay, you want a 13-year-old redhead? We got it for you. Go to the back. Do you see? So the whole thing that we have never been in this place before. The world is getting worse. No, it's not. We're repeating history.
We're repeating history.
We're repeating history.
A lot of people will not talk about the fact that the book burnings that took place in Weimar, and they were not that it is what it is. It's history. A lot of the books that were burned during these book burnings were books on transgenders and gender ideology and
degenerate stuff,
sex changes and things of that nature that we're watching now. And this isn't something that's new. This is something that we already saw take place in history. Weimar was considered to be one of the most progressive cities in the entire world.
And there was backlash.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to tell you. That's why I tell you that it is possible to have a far right religious figure eventually come. We don't know who that is.
The pendulum
not saying
swings.
We support it. This pendulum will swing. And if you guys don't think that moderates one day will say, enough, I'm done. I don't care if you ban abortion. I don't care if you ban gay marriage. I don't care if you ban this. If you don't think that people will be driven to that point, they will, because it's happened before. And everyone's going to equally suffer when you have a right-wing authoritarian person, no different than when you have with the left. Look at the transgender that we have in the health department, Rachel McAdams, Rachel Levine, or whatever, the transgender.
Who's the other one that just got arrested? They don't want to just get arrested for
somebody in the secretary. You have a radical authoritarian left-wing government right now that's still investigating Trump. They just opened up another investigation from Trump. Political persecution. You have demoralization. You have degeneracy. You have political violence by Antifa. When you have all these things combined, how do you guys think that we're going to get into a place of what is it called? Normalcy? Normacy. How do you guys think we're going to get to a place like that if it's not for someone who's going to rule with an iron fist? Whenever we talk about this, we get so much backlash from our enemies because, of course, they want to perceive us as Christo-fascists. They want to perceive us as fascists.
They only call us
and
that
far
because
right.
We want to talk about. We want to have the conversation. This was very similar to back in 2020, where if you pointed out that more Black men died through Black on Black crime than being at the other end of a cop's gun, you were immediately called a racist for simply sharing facts and statistics. Like, those are the numbers. History is clear. The Weimar Republic was real. It's not a conspiracy theorist. It did lend itself to an upset populace that elected. Hitler didn't just take power. Hitler was elected by his people because people got fed up, and we don't want that. I think, again, like, sometimes you become desensitized to the labels that they put on you. So then somebody's like, "Oh, you're a fascist." Well, why am I a fascist? Like, because I don't want kids to go through sex changes at the end, at the age of like 7, have their puberty blockers, taking puberty blockers and having their boobs chopped off by some like mutilator doctor who gets a clitoris hard on from yeeting titties or whatever the hell it is she wants to call it. Like, because reality has become so absurd that not being in agreement with reality now labels you a fascist. So when somebody labels you a fascist, you're just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care, call me whatever you want to call me. The truth is, we're not fascists, bro. Nobody wants a rise of Hitler. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to exist in or a Franco or anything like that. We can joke around and then do your names and whatever the hell it is that you call us, but none of us want that.
Right.
But if we don't want it, then we need to be aware of what has given rise to figures like this in the past. And it's been situations very much like what we find ourselves in. If you guys don't believe me, watch mothers all over the country. Watch school boards all over the country. You want to look at a red wave? Look at the school boards all over this country that did turn red. Why? Because moms don't want their kids being messed with by sick adults that want to talk to them about sex and confusing their gender and screwing them up. They don't want to deal with powerful fashion houses, glamorizing pedophilia and S&M with children. Like, we're at a point where people are going to be driven so far to the far left is going to push people so far away from a moderate perspective that it goes back to the point that Linda just made. Why wouldn't we have a president, 2028 or wherever the hell it is? That
because it's gonna gear that way. And when you look at what Kanye is saying, whether his actions right now justify them or he has the support or not. I mean, he does have a pretty big audience, right? It won't happen in 2024. It probably won't happen in 2028. But what about 4 years from then? What about 12 years from now? What about people are fed up and here comes this godly man to promise a more godly America, and people are fed up with what's going on and they start voting? Listen, the majority of people who started coming towards Donald Trump saw him as a third option, and Jack Posoyevic said that today in a very eloquent manner. And he said, there is a third party in America, and that is the Maga party. It just so happens that we fall under the Republican Party because that's just the rules of the game. But there is that third party, and that third party is about strong borders. And he listed all the things that are MAGA. And he said what we have been telling you guys for the past 3-4 weeks, that people like ourselves who were Democrats at one point, who were independent, who were anti-establishment, gravitated towards Donald Trump as independent because we saw his vision of America, because we agree with his vision, because we knew he wasn't this radical, crazy person that they say that he is. We saw what he tried to do with DACA, which are the Latino kids or whatever. We saw what he wanted to do with the blacks. We saw that he was cool with the LGBT people. We saw that he wanted to help the middle of America, and he really provided a solution for everybody of every race, every creed, every gender, every religion. So that we are the third party. So if those people, that third party, us, are not going to, because that's what they want to do. They want to extract MAGA and remove MAGA from the Republican Party. They want to hijack MAGA. Sure, they want to hijack MAGA, but they've always hated Donald Trump and his supporters. So if the Republican Party is going to say that we, people like us, people like many of you who are listening to this, these people who were MAGA do not have a place in the Republican Party, and they completely get rid of Donald Trump, he doesn't win 2024, what are we going to do?
All right, guys.
What
We're
happened?
getting ready towards the end. We're getting ready towards the end of the show. Drop some questions. Let us know.
Oh, we've been going for a while.
Yeah, we've been going for quite.
So sorry, guys. We're very inspired.
Very inspired by the
current events
and and lots.
And by the way, we would totally love to host Kanye and Nick Fuentes and even Milo if they're available. we would probably try to reach out to some people and see if they want to talk to us about their plans, because in a way, it also seems like they may be pulling a stunt and just trying to get Donald Trump.
Steve is like, oh, no Milo. I'm going to have to go with a no Milo too.
Right, but he is Ye's campaign manager. So what do you do about that?
No, I want Ye to drop him. I don't want to deal with the Ye that's represented by Milo. I don't want to deal with that. I need to have a one-on-one conversation with Ye, and I can't have that with Milo in the room. No, Milo's cringe as fuck, bro.
Right.
I love you. I've loved you for a long time. I've supported you. Go on my Truth Social. I haven't broken up with you like Linda did. I've loved you every moment of the way, and I feel like right now
I think he would understand
vulnerable place.
my place of breaking up with him because I'm a Gemini.
You're in a vulnerable ass place right now, and Milo is a psychopathic grifter that openly takes advantage of people and talks about blackmailing them like it's no big deal. Aside from that, and honestly, what's the single most important thing to me is that Milo's cringe as fuck, bro. What are you doing? You are Ye. You need to go out there and create the next figure of the right. You don't go pick up dusty ass pedo Milo and say that that's your new campaign manager. But I forgive you because you don't know any better. You need to listen to the rest of us that understand this environment and how these slimy uniparty the snakes work.
Well, can I say something before we go?
Yes.
If you guys don't remember, Kanye had a Turning Point USA era where he first went after Candace Owens. He posted that tweet. I like what Candace Owens says. And then all hell broke loose again. And so he started merging with TPUSA and Charlie Kirk. And then he broke up with Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens because he felt like he was trying to be controlled, because Charlie wanted to control Kanye West. Because nobody controls Kanye West. So Kanye doesn't really understand the dynamics of politics at all. He does not.
Of the right.
Or of the right. He does not. So I feel like this is his 2018 moment again with a further right individual who has been canceled. So he probably looks at Milo. I'm not saying he's going to keep him. He just fired, by the way, that Karen lady that brought him to Mar-a-Lago. She's no longer involved. So he'll probably fire him too.
I feel like he just doesn't know. You don't know that Milo is known as being the cringiest motherfucker alive in all of like right.
Let's answer some questions.
There's no level within the conservative movement, not even down to like the Groypers, the Q-tards. Nobody fucks with Milo. Everyone thinks that Milo is cringe, and you have picked up the dustiest motherfucker to help run your campaign. And I'm telling you because I care about you and I love you. I'm more concerned about how cringe Milo is than I am about the business people.
Oh my God.
Well, because it's the brand, bro. It's like they can try and cancel the brand, but he's still gonna be Ye. The brand's still gonna be dope. And then you pick up a dusty character like. Make Dolly Parton the new face of freaking Yeezy, bro. Like, you might as well. It's cringe.
Dolly Parton's way better than Milo. Come on, don't say that about the queen. Right. Don't say that about. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. She didn't do nothing to you.
Dolly.
She literally did nothing.
Dolly. My bad, bro.
That's horrible. Hey, somebody asked us, Trump VP. We have said that we would like to see Carrie Lake on the ticket. As Trump VP, we heard a rumor.
I like
Rand Paul too. We heard a rumor about Rich Grenell. That is an absolute no.
That is a rumor. Rich Grenell started that rumor. I am of the belief that Rich Grenell started the own rumor that he was going to be selected for VP. I don't believe that for 1 second. And Donald Trump, if you're listening, it can be Rich Grenell. I'm going to leave it right there because the more that this escalates and we get closer to figuring out who he's going to pick. But no, it's not Grenell. It cannot be Grenell. And I would put money that Grenell started that rumor himself.
So here's Anthony. Which big conservatives do you think are real and who is controlled opposition? Pretty much, it doesn't work in a way where that they're controlled opposition. Okay,
everybody's controlled opposition.
Everybody is controlled. So
because if you're on YouTube and you can't say certain things out loud because you got to worry about him getting canceled, guess what? To some degree, you are also controlled. You're not controlled by some giant puppet master, but all of us to some degree are. So a lot of the times what people make the mistake of calling controlled opposition is really just a lack of courage. The people that are that don't have the courage to go against the status quo, that don't want to be attacked. For example, Tim Pool, when he refused to recognize who they were, those people, I wouldn't so much call them controlled opposition. I'm sure that some of them have an agenda, but to me, it's bigger than that. These people aren't necessarily controlled. They're controlled by their fear of being canceled. Really, what you're seeing is cowardice. They don't want to be canceled.
Well, so here is a perspective that Elijah Schaefer said yesterday. As you guys know, Elijah from Slightly Offensive, he was let go of the Blaze for something pretty bad, but I'm not going to talk about it. Anyways, he is a very insightful person, and he had an interview last week. I clipped it where he says, on the right, the worst thing that you can do is be an anti-Semite. You can sit here and you can talk about Blacks, you can talk about Latinos, you can talk about homosexuals, you can talk about transgenders, whatever. If you cross the line of anti-Semitism in whatever group, it could be PragerU, it could be TPUSA, it could be Heritage Club, it doesn't matter. It could be America First PAC or not. You're banned. And it's so bad on the right, and Elijah said it, that when he hosted Nick Fuentes as a reporter, like, there's reporters from Univision, one of our Afro-Latina Univision anchors, who talked to a KKK person a few years ago. Are we not allowed to do this anymore? So the people that speak about free speech and have all these campaigns about the First Amendment and free speech are the first ones to cancel anybody on the right. If you cross the line, if you talk to Nick Fuentes, if you have an interview. What if you don't? What if you just want to have an interview with this man? You're canceled, you're banned, you're blacklisted. So much so that they won't even talk about it. I know many people, I'm not gonna say names, and this is not shade at all. I know many people have expressed positive, I wouldn't say feelings, but positive opinions about Fuentes. They've said it to me before, like, I know he's controversial, but the kid is this or whatever, and they will never say it in public. They'll never talk about it because they know the consequences are canceling. So in a way, everybody is pretty much controlled, especially when you look at who is funding Turning Point USA, who's funding PragerU, Ben Shapiro, right? The Daily Wire. We just found out that the Daily Wire got $100,000 from Ron DeSantis' PAC or something like that. And you can see the change in tune of every single Daily Wire reporter who's now pro DeSantis, anti-Trump. Am I saying that they were paid to do that? I don't know, but there is a transaction for $100,000 to Daily Wire. So all these people that you see are protecting their brand. They know exactly what gets them canceled. Ben Shapiro can sit there and say that 13% of the population commits 50% of the violent crimes. He's not going to get canceled because it is a topic that is culturally permitted in our society. So it's a very complicated subject. Let me see if we have any other questions. Robert Lee, thank you so much. ¿Qué les parece la elección en Arizona and Georgia? So he's asking, what do we think about the Arizona and Georgia election?
A lot of hurry up and wait, Robert. A lot of hurry up and wait. We have to wait now. We have to wait to see how the runoff goes in Georgia, how bad the inconsistencies in the election goes. I know that Arizona is still fighting. Kari Lake is still fighting. The groups out there, the election integrity groups are still fighting in Arizona. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people are not going to want to hear this, but this isn't a one election solution. Our country has over 3,400 different election processes that come down to a county, sometimes a municipality level. And it's going to take a very long time for all of that to be fixed. So I think that as a country, we need to show special attention, not just to our local governments, but in those particular states where we're seeing that the majority of inconsistencies come from. And to piggyback off what Donald Trump says when he announced his running in 2024, we need a 1 day, 1 vote, 1 paper ballot. And I think that the more of us that get together behind that, the more probability we have of seeing change, probably not for 2024, but it's something that could come in a future.
My problem with the whole Arizona and Georgia, particularly what we saw in Arizona, is that Donald Trump said it to us in 2020, before the election, after the election, and for the past 2 years, which is, if you guys do not fix Arizona, which, by the way, we did have a Republican governor, Doc Ducey, until now, we're going to have the same thing that happened to us in 2020. And here we are, 2022, 2 years later, and Kari Lake was didn't win the election. We don't know what happened. Voting machines were not working, particularly in heavy conservative areas. So it's just I don't even know how to address that topic because it's very complicated. Here's the last question that we have. Do you think woke ideology has peaked, or will it get worse? If so, how much worse? I think that woke ideology is pretty much rejected by the majority of the people in America. Right. I think that, for example, moderate Democrats, people that may have supported Joe Biden, people that maybe hated Trump and supported Biden, whatever, the majority of those people may see some things that maybe shouldn't be allowed on social media, maybe denying the Holocaust, things of that nature. For the most part, though, there are many people who did not agree with Donald Trump being removed from Twitter, do not agree with everything that is going on with kids in schools and the sexualization of children and stuff like that. I think that we are in a tipping point where even Shopify, I told Bella this week, there has been an entire campaign by Antifa and left-wing activists trying to deplatform people from Shopify. So, for example, the girl from Lips of TikTok, she has a store, only like 4 items that she sells, nothing explicit, nothing crazy. I think her stuff mostly says don't groom kids or stop the groomers or something like that. So all these LGBT activists have been trying to get her deplatformed from Shopify. And then the CEO himself replied to them and said, we're not going to do this. We're not going to be an activist organization as long as you're not breaking our terms of services and selling merch that is, encouraging violence or whatnot. We're not just going to deplatform people because you guys don't like them. So we are seeing this pushback even in Disney. I know that there's a new CEO. I know that he is far left. But we may even start seeing less companies be political because they're seeing the backlash, right? They're seeing how it does affect the bottom line. It does affect their sales. It does affect their reputation as well. Balenciaga, they made a very big mistake. I don't think they thought that they were going to get this much backlash, and now they're screwed.
By the way, if you got in your Balenciaga at Nordstrom, just know that all you got to do is call, full refund. Doesn't matter how much time will go by. They'll take the return.
And then what did Daisy said? The crypto billionaire.
Oh, that's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole nother episode.
That's gonna have to be a more detailed.
Right.
And we need to bring somebody on board that knows a little bit
crypto,
more about it.
Somebody died, and it's pretty weird because he did have like a thread on Twitter about that he was gonna get killed. That's what he said. And then 3 weeks later, a few days later, he turned up dead.
Didn't the same thing happen with some guy?
It's been 3 of them.
There was 3 of them. There was another one too, somewhere I can't remember where in Latino America, one of them that said that they had proof of a child sex trafficking ring. And then 3 days later, he died too. That just happened like 2 months ago.
Right.
It's like all of these whistleblowers comes out. Right. People have just become so desensitized to
Absolutely. But guys, once again, thank you so much. We are going to be gone for the next 2 weeks. I believe we'll have one more episode before the end of the year. We appreciate your support so much. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Where this is going to stay here. So if you missed it, you can watch the whole thing. And tomorrow we will release the audio form, and we will see you soon.
Thank you guys for your support. See you guys in a couple of weeks.